Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, FF family. Today is episode 29. It is 8/18. Is that today's date? That is today's date. Man, it's been a long day for me at work, I'll tell you what. Well, Bradley, I wanted to get us in together because last time we had the podcast, we talked about the .com bubble burst. And I thought it'd be a great idea for our audience to understand what that is, do a little deep dive into it, because I've got a few questions for you, and I wanted to see what more we can pry out of it and see how it kind of applies to today. And that's going to be our topic. Do you have anything to go over before we get started?
I'll start you off with a question that has nothing to do with today. What's the last purchase you made that wasn't an essential over $50?
Wow. Usually I do these. I'm not used to this.
I just thought of
it. Yeah. Okay. A non-essential over $50. So, that's a great question. It would probably have been Claire Obscure Expedition 33 because it was like 50 plus change. Would be
What
that
was
one.
it? What was
Claire Obscure Expedition 33.
Claire?
Or is it Expedition 33? Claire, hang on, I got you. Yeah, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. So that one is it's the like JRPG role-playing game that like hit the shelves and blew up. Fantastic video game. It's super fun. For people that played that, it's like Paper Mario style RPG turn-based. And that one, it was well worth it. It's actually the first official platinum I've gotten on my PlayStation since getting it, and it was well worth the time.
Nice. Did you message me about that? Like, hey, you should
Oh,
this
yeah.
out. Okay.
No, well, okay. Yes and no. I did tell you about it, but I did not recommend it to you because you do not like turn-based RPGs. I think you would still like it,
Okay.
but you know how you are with turn-based.
I do know.
So, yeah. So, you know how you are. So I did not offer that as like to play.
Nice. All right. Cool.
I got to throw it back to you. So what did you purchase without needing it for over $50?
I think the last thing was
it your spiffy haircut?
No, I had a coupon for this. It was $14.99.
No way!
Not even kidding. Cut out a coupon.
No way! Was that a local place or did you get like
Great Clips?
What did you? Yeah.
Okay,
gosh.
with tip, I gave a $10 tip, so it's still half that price.
That's still a fantastic price.
Yeah, but I would say over 50 if you count everything packed together. Carrie and I saw Naked Gun, and like we bought some popcorn and like an icy. I think came out to be about 50. We also did like the cheap Tuesday ticket, so may not have gone, but very funny. If you know those type of movies, like parody movies, everything is a joke. Every line is a joke. Carrie didn't know that going into it, so she thought it was just like a regular movie that is also a comedy, and that's not her style. I, however, have seen the old Naked Guns and like the TV show, so I loved it. She not so much.
If you said that, she hated it. Got it. Okay. So she never saw the old Naked Guns, really?
No.
Wow.
She didn't know what she was getting into. She didn't say she hated it. She's like, it was fine. That's just not my style. Because like literally everything is a joke. Like in the background, there's goofy stuff happening. Every line of dialogue is a joke. There's like 1,000 jokes throughout an 85-minute movie. So she didn't even get that. Even the credits were a joke, which is hilarious.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Man, that's like an old school, like 90s, 2000s comedy trend. Like the road. That's fantastic. I know. I get that. Did she not watch like Scary Movie or?
Yeah, I asked her the same thing, and she's like, well, even Scary Movie isn't. I'm like, it kind of is, but she didn't know what she was getting into.
I don't mean this in a mean way, but it's like you are right. It is. You just might not have caught it.
Right.
Because there's a lot. They're like what is it? What is the Marlon, or not Marlon, but just the Wayans brothers, like Don't Be a Menace in South Central
while drinking juice in the hood.
Yeah. Fantastic, underrated spoof movie, right?
Yeah.
Like something you might not catch is like they're talking about like one of the girls comes to the backyard get together,
Uh-huh.
and she's like, yeah, she got more kids than Miss Wayans down the road. Like they're making fun of their mom. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
stuff like that. You might not catch it, but like
Right,
it
right.
is like
Yeah.
everything they're doing. I guess I got one more then, so I didn't have it either, but I watched Weapons.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
Fantastic. I know you watched it. I liked it a lot. Not as good as Barbarian, but the people that have watched Zach Kreger's, I was gonna say novels, movies, definitely worth the watch. It was worth the buy. I enjoyed it, but it's also not the $50 at least to fall into that
Yeah.
category.
Yeah.
Uh, loved it, worth the ticket.
Agree. Agree.
All right. Well, thank you for everybody for going through our normal opening on here to get us started. So I'm going to be your host today as usual. My name is Dylan. I'm also here with Bradley, per usual, and we decided to do a little one-on-one today to spice things up, and it is the .com bubble burst once again. So Bradley, I think the first thing is let's reel it back a little bit. Let's get a little history on what it is in general. So what is the bubble burst here? I don't understand. So was it
Yeah.
when the internet was made and it blew up? What happened?
Kind of. That's kind of what it was. So, real quick, some sources that I used for today. A book called .con, like con artist, the
You.
greatest story ever sold. What's his name? Uh, I'm blanking. John Cassidy. So it's a book called .con. Just some stuff I used to fill in some blanks and get some names and dates. But this is more me. I'm going to nerd out real quick, take us back, and I want us to kind of build a picture of war. And while war is terrible and no one wants it, a lot of times good things come out of it. Like we think of World War One, there are a lot of mechanical advancements like airplanes, right? Basically modern day airplanes. They were going to be invented anyways, but World War One kind of kicked them going. World War Two, do you know who Alan Turing is, Dylan?
I was gonna say the name sounds familiar, but I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, the name probably sounds familiar. He was British and he worked to break the Germans' Enigma encryption. So essentially, they
Oh.
had this encryption that they would use to send signals back and forth. And Alan Turing, he basically made.
Oh, was it the I don't want to spoil it, but I think with the Morse code, right? Was that
Yes, yeah,
the
yeah.
Yes,
He
I know
basically
exactly what this
used
is. Yes.
computers and programming to break encryptions. Essentially, he created like the first modern day algorithm, if you will. So
Mm.
that's Alan Turing, and this is during World War II. A few years later, we have three guys: Bardeen, Brayton, and Shockley. Sorry if I said their name wrong. In 1947, I believe, they invented the transistor. So the transistor essentially is like if you have your phone, you probably have a phone with a computer chip that's teeny tiny that has like 5 trillion transistors. There are a little electrical signals that say yes or no on a million things. And they're essentially how our modern day computing uses. So then we have the 1960s. Someone in MIT started figuring out we can do more than send pictures or signals through airwaves. We can actually put two computers together and send files back and forth. So that happened at MIT. And then in 1969, the US Department of Defense actually said, we like that. Again, war, military is very important. They're like, we like that. So they kind of started using this and sending files back and forth. So think of that as like the first time the internet's being used. Because we still had TV, we had radio, you had Morse code, but you couldn't send stuff back and forth. So throughout like the 70s, schools, universities, they're the ones who are actually figuring things out, while essentially governments are like, we like that, let's use it, right? So 1989, this is important because we think of like the connection of war. The Berlin Wall falls. A guy named Tim Berners-Lee invents the World Wide Web. So www. Right? So that's 1989. 1991, that's when communism fell, right, in Russia. Everyone kind of figured out like, oh, communism was just kind of like
Never to be
a
seen
system
again.
used by con men to gain control, right? Guess what? We had our first website that went live in 1991. 1991 is relatively recent if you think about it. There weren't websites before 1991. So that's kind of like me setting the story. I'll let you catch up, Dylan. What do you think?
I mean, first of all, 1991 is relatively recent, and that's also sad because it feels like it was so long ago. So, it's only 2 years older than me, so I feel pretty old right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, it makes sense so far. I love this stuff, so I'm interested. Keep going.
All right, so we're gonna draw some modern day analogies, but basically we realized like there's this thing you can buy computers. Computers were very expensive in the late 70s and early 80s. Essentially, they were document processes. They're very business oriented, but all of a sudden you can start using it, buying it at home. Still very expensive, but they're getting cheaper. Technology was exploding, but at the same time getting cheaper. And businesses started to realize like we can connect a business with a consumer, right? So, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, they can get to us without a paper catalog or a phone call. We can somehow access them. And this is when everything started blowing up. So there's some major players, because I was really trying to paint an image of like who these people were, that there was so much success and so much failure. Obviously, you had Apple, who was kind of blowing up in the 90s. There was Steve Jobs was in and out of the company. He went back and forth, getting fired, coming back, creating PCs, creating Pixar. But at the same time, we have Amazon, founded in 1994 by Jeff Bezos. And we have Pets.com. Now, if you go to Pets.com right now, I think it's just PetSmart, if I'm not mistaken. Fact check me. What do you find
I'm on it. It's loading. It is PetSmart. Yep.
Okay. Now, do me a favor, Dylan. Go look up Pets.com dog, or like you'll like puppet or something, and tell me what you see.
Pets.com what? Sorry?
Puppet. I think that's what it was. They had like a little mascot. Maybe mascot is better. It's like this goofy little puppet dog.
Okay. It says mascot killed, so that's weird. Got it. Yep.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yep, I got it.
It's like this goofy little puppet. Okay, so
yeah, 2 eyes or like a beard.
Pets.com was essentially this company that opened up in the 90s that tried to get like people connected with the internet. It was like this whole idea, and I'm not saying it was a complete fraud, but essentially they opened up in the 90s. I forget, maybe 1995, but that's a major factor. We'll come back to them. The next is Webvan, Webvan. So essentially Webvan was a company that was like a grocery store, but they wanted to do, you buy your groceries online and have them delivered to you, which today isn't crazy, right? People do that all the time on Walmart.com or whatever, like their local grocery store. It's not that crazy.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was like, this is an awesome idea, right? Like, how do you can go on your computer and order groceries and have it sent to you, right?
I could get my groceries now and pay later. This is awesome.
The last one is Netscape. Netscape was basically an internet-style company that was a web browser. They were bought off by AOL eventually in a few years, but these are 4 major players. So let's go to Amazon. Amazon, you've probably heard the story before. They opened up as an online bookstore. That's all they sold, online books. Or books online. They shipped them to your house, and they had catalogs that you could write through or send money. You could pay online, but you could also technically send cash. Imagine today sending cash to Amazon, right? So they opened up in 1994, and then they had their IPO. I forget what year their IPO is. and it opened up at $18 a share. So IPO is initial public offering. That's essentially when you take your company public and you say, I'm going to allow you to invest in my company for X amount of dollars. So let's say I say, Dylan, I have 1,000 shares. Go tell your friends and family. Each share is worth $10. Now, supply and demand, I start off at $10, and based on how popular it is, supply and demand makes that price go up and down. So that's another important piece. How we feeling so far, Dylan? Making sense?
I'm following. I think something that I really enjoy is where does this lead to? So that's what I'm
Yes.
looking forward to. I know it's about to drop.
I'm about to get there. So we have pets.com. Its IPO was $11. Amazon.com, its IPO was $18. So think of like if I bought a share of Amazon, it's only worth $18. That's pretty cheap. Today, it's hundreds of dollars.
I wish it was.
Yeah. Pets.com, $11. Webvan, $15. Netscape, $28. So essentially what happened is all these places went public in the mid to late 90s. People bought up all these stocks because they're like, the internet is awesome. And it is awesome. And investors threw a bunch of money at these companies for years and years and years. So you've heard the stories about how like Amazon operated at a loss for a long time, right? Like
correct.
For like 15 years or whatever.
I was gonna say it was about 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say 20.
They didn't make a profit. Well, what happens when Amazon.com, Pets.com, Webvan, Netscape, no one makes a profit? Now, you can see one company and kind of like see through and see like, I see there's hope for Amazon.com. I see a future. But can you also see through Amazon.com, Pets.com, Webvan, Netscape, and say, okay, investors, everyone's telling me, keep giving us money, even though we're not having profit. So that's the next step. So it was in, I want to say the mid 2000s or the mid year 2000, right? So yep. Basically when you go public every quarter, you have to have your quarterly earnings, right? And correct. Every once in a while you lose some money, you make some money, but eventually all these companies continued to show losses. And eventually everyone's like, hang on a second. Pets.com, what are you actually doing for me? How are you going to make money? We're spending millions or billions. How are we going to make money? Webvan, do you actually have the system together to do groceries? So that's the idea, is like everyone was like, we've thrown all our money into these technologies, right? Into the internet, but there's no money coming back. So everyone kind of paused, and it was like Dylan, let's say it's you, me, Nick, Carrie, and like a few of our friends, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, I'm just gonna, like, stocks are pretty high, I'm gonna sell a couple stocks. So in like 1999, Amazon was worth over $100. It was normally, it started off at $18, so up 500%, right? I'm going to sell a couple stocks. And then you're like, well, Bradley, why are you selling stocks? And you look at the investor report, earnings report, and you're like, maybe I should sell a couple stocks. Essentially, everyone stopped investing and everyone sold on all of this stuff. What happened? The NASDAQ specifically crashed, and we'll get into that, but I'll stop talking for a second. Dylan, what are you thinking so far?
Few thoughts. One, you might get to it here in a minute. My first thought is, how was Amazon different in this scenario than the other websites we're hearing about right now?
Okay. Amazon was different. Okay, so what are your other thoughts, or is that all you're thinking?
Start there, because I'm going to have a few follow-ups.
Okay. So Amazon went from over $100 and then fell to $7. Now, if you look up the current day pricing on, let's say, like finance.yahoo.com, they have a lot of stock splits, so you won't be able to see. You'll see what the price is adjusted for stock splits. But at the time, it was worth $100, dropped to $7. The difference is Pets.com went public in February of 2000, and they filed bankruptcy in 2000 because they had no cash on hand. You have to have cash as a business to keep going, or you have to have investors, or you have to be able to be okay with no one being paid a profit, right? So, for example, I own a second business where it's my brother, another business partner, and myself. We're not making a profit. But as a company, we have no investors, which we have intentionally because we're not making a profit and we don't want to owe anyone money, but we also aren't making our own money. So we're not going to file bankruptcy because we're okay. Pets.com, boom, they filed bankruptcy. Netscape, boom, acquired by AOL. Webvan, boom, also dropped to pennies and filed bankruptcy. So essentially all these companies filed bankruptcy because they had no income. They had no money. What's different is some people still invested in Amazon, and they also had their own system, and they had cash on hand to cover some of the losses.
So it's mostly just amounting to the cash on hand they were able to have, saying, we have this amount as like leverage of some sort then? Is that right?
So if you're not giving me money, where am I getting the money from? I already have some cash on hand, which is okay, which means I'm controlling my finances, right? Think if you get fired from your job. That doesn't mean you automatically file bankruptcy. Don't worry, I have some savings, you know. We don't have to sell our house, sell our car, leave forever, right? I can live life for a little bit without an income. That's kind of what Amazon was about. And their system kind of crashed along with the NASDAQ, and not just because it was Amazon, where Pets.com had no future. Webvan, it was just way too early, right? About 25 years too early. Netscape got acquired by AOL. So all these things kind of came tumbling down, and investors essentially said, okay, I don't know what I'm getting out of this. Amazon, I kind of see what's going on.
So it's not necessarily in general that it was outright a scam per se, but when you're not giving them anything out the gate, and then as time progresses, that story hasn't changed, that's when they're like, what are we doing here, right?
Yeah, I think that's good, like the verbiage, like it's not, there wasn't fraud. Maybe there was some fraud, right? But
hey, what's a little business, a little fraud? You know what I mean? Come on.
Fraud is when you like promise something that doesn't exist or can't exist yet. Where these were like ambitions. Like today, you might think GoFundMe, right? You might put $50 in GoFundMe for a new piece of technology, knowing that money may never come back, right?
But you kind of go in expecting that. That's a little different from the story, right?
But the difference here is these are big companies, and they had real ambitions. They're like, we're using the internet, we're hiring people, and we're not saying we have this product and we're lying to you and this product doesn't exist. It's just like, we're also not saying it works well. Like, we think about, I think I've talked about this. Do you know Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes?
I don't.
Okay. This is an actual piece of fraud. So Elizabeth Holmes, she loves Steve Jobs. So she kind of like emulated him, like had a black turtleneck. She had like a really deep voice that was fake. And she dropped out of like Harvard, just like Steve Jobs or whatever. And her company was, instead, you get your blood drawn for tests and it's like this vial, right? It hurts. Right. It takes forever. She's like, what if you could do it with like a drop of blood from your fingertip? Now, if that's possible, that's worth trillions. She said, this is the technology we have right now. She got a bunch of investors. She brought people in. They would take their blood. But she was a scam artist. It's fraud. Essentially, the company came and crashed and failed because she couldn't actually do it. She was lying. What she was doing was taking people's blood the old way and then also taking a drop of blood from their finger and doing the test the old way, right? Anyway, she's in jail right now.
Okay, I was gonna be like, what's the end here for her?
She's in jail right now. That's fraud. You've heard of the Fire Festival, right?
Oh,
Billy,
Ja Rule.
Billy, whatever
Ja
his
Rule
name,
thing.
fraud,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
These are examples of people stealing money essentially from other people, hoping that either it works out or just lying, knowing there's nothing in the end because they have no product. Pets.com wasn't a scam, it wasn't a fraud, it was just a failed business. Along with all these people who saw the internet and saw this opportunity to get consumers and businesses closer than ever. So, like, think of just a million people with a million amazing ideas, but only a few of them actually come through, but billions of dollars were thrown into this. And everyone at the same time kind of realized no one's making money, and they pulled everything out. And then the house of cards tumbled from there.
I Not to derail too much, but speaking
Yeah.
of Fire Festival, I think they're also doing a second one now.
Yes, he did.
By the same guy,
He did
right?
pause it. He did pause
Oh.
it.
Oh, thank God the integrity's there. I would be really ashamed if it wasn't.
No, my thought is if you go to the Fire Festival 2 and you get scammed, you deserve it. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but they made
the first one you get a
documentaries.
pass.
This guy went to jail. You deserve it.
I love America at that point. I don't know where he's at, so I don't know what we can consider it.
So, yeah. So basically, not a fraud, not a scam, just kind of like a bunch of ambition that kind of just exploded. What do you think, Dylan?
Honestly, I think, it kind of seems like what you can hear about today, even. You hear about, I think like the modern day version is like the NFT, the situation we had a couple years back. Right now, you're still seeing meme coins that we joke about investing in all the time.
Yes.
What's the Hawk Tua coin? Like, it's like, it's the Fire Festival thing for me. It's like, okay, the first time, all right, you're good. I understand we all fall for something at some point, right? Like, Bradley, I'm sure you've fallen for something in your life.
Right.
It happens. We're probably, on the scale of it, is probably not as bad, but we all do it. That being said, oh my God, I can't believe people are still investing into this lady's crypto coin.
Yeah.
But people still do it. Anyway, sorry.
No,
I feel like those coins are what this story is about to unfold on. And maybe I'm off, but it feels like that's what this new web craze is going to be in the early 2000s. It's just repeating itself now.
So I did think about that. I did think about NFTs, but here's the thing. People reacted to NFTs. The majority of people didn't get involved. It was just a few, honestly, people probably more like me and you than anyone else who were like, hell yeah, let's make a quick buck. And within a few months, people were like, oh, this is kind of scammy. And they jumped out, right? Now, there's still meme coins where people get caught up. And I would say a lot, not all of them, a lot of meme coins like Hawk Tua are scams because they have bad actors, right? It's usually one person, a celebrity, who's promoting a coin that they don't design while other people are throwing in money to buy very, very cheap coins, while all of a sudden it goes public, people, their fans, throw money into meme coins, raise up the prices, and the people who own the most, who paid nothing for it, pull out, dropping the value. That's a scam, essentially, right? Now, I want you to think of another thing. You may not know this, Dylan, but what's the number one company in the world? We talked about this last week.
Oh. Is it Apple?
No.
No, NVIDIA.
What does NVIDIA do?
They are a chip manufacturer.
Right.
No, they're not. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I thought I fell for a trap.
Graphic cards, right?
Yep.
Do you know, it's okay if you don't, I'm not quizzing you, I'm building the story, but do you know why they've kind of blown up over the last couple years?
No, I actually don't.
Okay, so it's AI, artificial intelligence. Basically, thank you, Chat GPT. Essentially, what we've learned from AI is you need a massive amount of computing power. More computing power than the internet has ever needed before, right? billions of dollars, like XAI, OpenAI, Microsoft, Apple. They're all throwing billions of dollars into AI, Meta. So essentially, NVIDIA is the one who they are buying stuff from, right? NVIDIA's making high-powered cards, graphic cards, chips that kind of support AI. So they've blown up because of AI, essentially. Now, there are other companies that make AI, but Meta, Microsoft, XAI, OpenAI, Google, they're all investing trillions of dollars into AI. So today, is there going to be a point when we realize, what can AI actually do for me? Like right now, Dylan, let me ask you as a consumer, what does AI do for you?
It
Just be
allows
honest.
me it allows me to make really cool pictures of myself into One Piece characters.
Okay. Um, I use AI basically for like a Google search, right?
Yes. Also, yeah, for ChatGPT, I guess it's like a Grammarly for me as well.
Right, yeah. Grammarly. Now, the question is, I'm not saying AI is the next .com bubble. What I am saying is trillions of dollars are being poured into AI through people like you and me, through our 401ks and IRAs and investments on the stock market, through NASDAQ and through the S&P 500. Is AI going to be as big as we think it is? Or is it going to be as big as we think it is in 25, 30 years from now? Now, think about this, because the internet is as big as people thought it was going to be in the 90s. But it took some
Mm,
time, right?
good question.
So, is AI important right now over the next couple years? At what point are people going to say, hey, Meta, Facebook, I need some results, right? Like, I need some cash coming in, because people like you and me, we look at the stock market, our 401ks, as our way of multiplying our money. But not everyone's like that. Big time investors, they want money back, right?
Yep.
And if we decide, like, hey, are you actually selling it? Like, what physical products does Facebook provide us?
I don't think they do, right?
You're right, they don't. I think maybe they have like the goggles or whatever,
Oh,
right?
the meta.
Yeah, those don't make any
Oh, yeah.
money, right? You know?
No, you always take a loss on those to make a profit on the software you sell behind it.
Right. Essentially, they make money through ads, right? So the question is AI going to bring us more ads, profits through ads in the next 5 to 30 years? Right?
I
Think
think
about it.
that's the goal with like the metaverse is the idea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often are you on the
I don't think
metaverse?
I'm not. I was just about to say, I don't know if that's even maybe that's why like they was part of, with the last couple of years you've seen so many tech. Oh, I mean that makes sense why you see so many tech companies doing layoffs is because you have this buildup of so
Yes.
much hype and anticipation of everything. I'm connecting the
So you're
dots. I
starting to
got you.
connect the dots,
Yeah,
right?
I got
So
you.
I'm not saying the market's going to blow up, because I don't know. Maybe it will work out. But some people think of AI and the trillions of dollars being
Well,
invested.
you know what can protect you from that crashing. So we got a new FF coin that's really backed by the US gold. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're okay. So like, what do we learn from this? I think what we learn from this is, like, you do have to diversify, right? Like, and I probably, you and me, Dylan and Nick, probably fall into this trap. Like, don't just go throw all your money into Nvidia. You know, the reason why isn't because I know what is or isn't going to happen with them, but it's risky, right? Nvidia is number one company in the world right now. In 10 years, we may not remember who they are, right? We may not even think about them. However, if you have a diverse funds in your account, you're going to see up and downs with a slow roll upwards. However, if you throw all your money into AI, and it doesn't take off the way we think it takes off, we could see another crash. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's just kind
Yeah.
of the idea.
I mean, are we back in the day with the bubble, right? When that was happening, was stock trading even a thought with people when it came to like online and the web? I don't think it was, right? Like there's no way Fidelity was back then and what all the tools and resources we have now, right?
Fidelity's been around a while, but when did they integrate into the World Wide Web was probably I don't know. They've been around since like the 70s or 80s or something.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this was like you went to a guy, right? Like
I know a dude.
I'm gonna go to the guy and he's gonna help me out, or I'm gonna go to my accountant. You didn't just go on fidelity.com and start trading stuff, right? You talked to your
Right.
accountant, or a guy at work helped you out, right? Or you had this guy and you went to his shop and blah blah blah. So that's kind of how it worked. Like there were more middlemen, which is like bad for cost, but probably good to control our instincts a little bit, right? Like
Yes.
I kind of want to just go buy and sell stuff because my emotions tell me. However, when there's a guy there, it's kind of like a good thing that helps me out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good stopgap for you for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, someone to keep you accountable. Now, when you have guys, also you have like con men, people who sell you on penny stocks. Like who's the guy from The Wolf of Wall Street?
Jordan Belfort.
Yes, yeah, right. You also, well, when you have stuff like that, you have guys who go to jail for scamming you
Can
there.
just to rant for a moment, it absolutely baffles me that people like that dude on any
Oh yeah,
capacity. Like
people go
on because
back to the same crap.
it's so stupid. Like he's on social media, right? Jordan is, and like
Hmm.
he went on this like a good stint for like I would say a year at least. I don't really hear him anymore, so maybe I'm just disconnected from it.
Yeah,
But like he was on it for a while and he kept talking about here's a good way to do this and what. I'm like, are we just not forgetting? Like, let's keep it
right.
simple here. He stole money from mom and pops across America to do
Yeah,
penny stocks. Like,
yeah.
why are we celebrating greed? Like what I felt like
This
I
is
was
the
in
history
the
of the
effing
world.
Twilight Zone, you
Remember
know?
what we talked about a while ago? Last time we did a history, we talked about like how economic history repeats itself, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we go back to the same thing. Like we've seen
So
the fall
frustrating.
of economic systems that starve millions of people. And then today some people are like maybe that can still work. You know? Like we've
Yeah.
seen it not work. And then every like 30, 40, 50
Yeah.
years, sometimes it's three generations, it's a whole century, but we go back to that stuff. And I mean, you just mentioned Fire Festival too.
Electric Boogaloo. That's the new name.
That's
I just
good.
I guess you're right though, because we see it even another example is I make the joke probably every week now where I'm talking about how the stock market's gonna blow up,
Yeah.
right? And it was I forgot the date again. April? April
Yeah,
was the last
April.
one?
Hmm.
Okay. So April was like the recession of 2025 that we were fearing was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it was just like what, literally 3, 4 days and we
Yeah.
were fine.
It was two
Um
bad days, and then it slowly crept up every day from there.
Okay, yeah, and now
Now, they
you're
were
talking
very bad days. But yeah.
fair, but I would disagree. I think they were good days to buy in
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
if you saw that time, I actually am kicking myself in the butt here because I think it was either Apple or Tesla. I saw if you had bought in during that dip right now, it's gone up like $50,
Yeah.
something crazy. I I pray for times like these when they're just like I wanted I let me be very careful. I would love one that's like the same level, the same situation, just to dip really hard and
Right.
just buy in at such a discount. You
Yeah.
set so much money up for yourself later for doing nothing.
The difference between the dip in April and, let's say, the crash of 2000 was nothing really went out of business in April.
True.
Hundreds of companies in Silicon Valley went out of business. Pets.com, Webvan, a bunch of companies, they just disappeared. All the money that, like, like we talk about like, hey, it's like it'll always go up and down. Well, imagine if you invested $10,000 into the IPO of pets.com, it jumped up to $15,000, and then by the end of the same year, that money was gone because they went bankrupt. Not like it went really small and has to build back up. Gone. You no longer have that money, you know? That's the difference between like a couple bad days on the stock market and a crash. So whenever you hear someone say a crash, where is the money going? Can it come back? In 2000, your money was gone.
Yep.
It didn't come back, you know?
I mean, it really is the same way now. I mean, if you like, let's say, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but a company that you invest into the stock market's gone is going to go.
Right.
But it's the same principle. It's just more likely if you're going to invest into Apple or, I don't know, Tesla, more than likely they're not going out of business next week, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's the difference with web vans or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. What for Apple to go out of business, like, I mean, you have to, like, it's almost like it's such an important part of our economy where, like, China's going to lose billions of dollars. India's going
Yes.
to lose billions of dollars. The United States is going to lose hundreds of billions of dollars. Tens of thousands of employees will be out of work. Whole buildings will be shut down. So, like, it's probably not going to happen, at least not anytime soon.
Yeah, that would be, I mean, to say that would be tremendously awful would be putting an understatement on that
Right.
one for sure.
We don't want that to happen. Even if you
It's,
hate Apple or you
yeah,
think they're greedy or you love Samsung, they're in your investment portfolio.
yeah, if they go down, it's almost like the US has had an unironic crash
Yeah,
at that
yeah,
point.
right.
Like that is actually one of those things.
Yes.
Not just it goes down $50 or whatever. Like the US economy has crashed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
All
my
right.
story, and that's kind of the .com bubble. Essentially, the story is we got all excited about the internet, and it turns out the internet was a good place to look at pictures and send emails before we actually figured out how to use it for commerce and
And
billions of dollars.
I was going to say as well, I think this is just a very one thing that I was just hearing this. My biggest takeaway I have from this one is definitely the fact you see this stuff now. I'm not saying it's as prevalent or it's as egregious, but you see this now. You see whether it's your investment portfolio, it's we talked about the coins, whatever it may be. Those happening now is a real world example.
Yeah.
And that is I hate that people don't pay attention. I really do. It's like whenever we're talking about these things and I'm just trying to talk through, okay, we have XYZ to worry about, where it's you have to make sure whatever you're investing in, always I'm thinking, can I take a loss on this? Like
Right.
that's my first thing. It's not everything's gambling, but it feels like gambling, you know?
Right.
So I'm wondering, can I take a loss on this? And in the long term, is this actually worth making money for? Because a lot of the time, and I know you've done it, I've had it, where you're just sitting on a stock waiting because you're like, okay, I think this mic can go up, and it's just like either stagnates or just keeps dropping, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
don't want to just lose money on something. And you just see all of this, like it's very obvious back then because this is a new thing, but I would encourage everybody that's seeing this new hot trend to be worried about what you would experience today, right? The NFTs, the meme coins that are going around. If you're going to be on the cutting edge of whatever you're looking for, fantastic. I'm happy for you. Let me know too. I like money. Money's fun. But like let's be honest here, you are not always a chance that someone out there is going to try to scam you.
Yeah.
And it only takes one meme coin or one whatever to get to that point.
Yeah. Honestly, the best way to avoid it is avoid individual stocks when possible. Buy ETFs or mutual funds like VOO or FZROX through Fidelity.
I
There's
do. It's going
Vanguard.
up.
Yeah,
Who's doing great?
there's Vanguard. You could get buy into total market indexes. That's the best way to make money in the long term and avoid avoid letting your emotions control your financial future.
Absolutely. All right, Bradley. Well, any closing, I think you kind of nailed it on there, but just to make sure, do you have any closing thoughts on what we talked about today or anything you would want to leave people on? Because I left with mine already.
Huh.
It's easy to see it outside looking in. It's just you got
Yeah.
to make sure you're looking at it ahead of time.
Yeah. I've said this before, and I think it was one of our tips of the day. Just like learn some economic history, because as Dylan was saying, like we repeat ourselves. We go back to scams or just systems that don't work every
It's that
like
bad
30,
comfort
40,
food.
100 years. We kind of do the same thing, and as humans, I've done it before, right? Like I've like bought into something, learned my lesson, 10 years later forgot my lesson, go back, just learn your history. The more it's in your head, the more knowledge you have, the less likely you are to make those mistakes.
Absolutely. Well, Bradley, I appreciate you today because I think both of us are big history people. I hope this finds a good audience that enjoys that part of it as we do, because this is something I would love to continue and keep going through, especially these little tidbits here.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing. Thank you for the time. Everybody for stuck around to watch today. I hope you have a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for joining us today. And I'm excited for the next one we're going to do.
Yeah. Adios.
Bye.